Hello and welcome to this session on Sage CRM security. My name is Thomas and I'm a senior technical consultant with BAASS. In this video, we will cover Sage CRM security and how that applies to password policies, user configuration, territories, security policies, security profiles, users and templates, assigning permissions, and how we can use company teams to restrict sensitive information. So we've logged on here to CRM and we're going to start by going to administration, users, and let's start with security and password policies. So there are three types of users in CRM. We have administrators, info managers, and regular users with no admin rights. The settings we can have here is minimum length. So we could set it to say 10 characters or 12 characters or whatever you want. Require complex passwords. Will require uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters. Check usernames. Just say that the password cannot be the same as the username. So you can't have admin as an example. Strong usernames. Password cannot match the reverse of the username, the reverse of the first or last name. Could not match the username exactly, cannot match the first or last name, and any word in the dictionary. So what is this dictionary? The dictionary is just a file used on the CRM server. This is just a text file. Here's an example. And what I did there was to just pull some dictionary lists, word lists off the internet. I have English, French, German, Spanish, and Italian words in this list. So anything that exists in this file will not be an accepted password for a user. So this prevents users from setting passwords like the word password. Next thing is that we can set like password expiry. How long is a password valid? And we do that in our user configuration. We go back here to administration, users, user configuration. One option is to then set password expiry. In this case, it would expire after 60 days. Use dynamic password hash. Puts a stronger encryption on the password in the database. This could be detrimental to performance if your CRM server or SQL server is not up to par, but this is the recommended and default setting. Allow user preferences. Will the user see the preferences option and be able to change and set their own preferences, or are they controlled by admin entirely? Yes or no. Account lockout threshold. After entering the wrong password a certain number of times, how many times until the account is locked? And how long will it be locked for? Account lockout duration. Here, these are the defaults, but we recommend to set the lockout period to be longer. If a user doesn't know their password after 3 attempts, they probably don't know it at all. So in effort to stop unauthorized access, we could lock this for a longer period of time, 15 minutes, an hour, 8 hours. What would happen then is that if this is a legitimate user that just can't remember their password, they would have to get their password reset from an administrator. User inactivity timeout controls the time a user can be idle in the system before they are automatically logged out. Use IIS auto login is an option if you don't want to let CRM handle your logon credentials and validation of passwords. You can let your domain controller handle logons. So as long as a user is authenticated with the domain controller, with this enabled and configured, the system would automatically pass logon credentials through the browser from the active Windows session to the domain controller, and an authentication token will be passed back, and you will be logged on to the system automatically without having to enter in any credentials. Last thing on this page for security would be enable security for groups. Default is set to yes, and this only controls a setting whether or not a user will have access to groups. When it comes to accessing actual records in CRM, that is controlled mainly by territories. In this setup here, we have a territory structure, which is worldwide, US and Canada, Europe, so on and so forth. This is a tree structure. If you have access to worldwide, you would have access to everything below that. It's a parent-child sibling relationship. A parent can see anything below itself in the structure. So a child can never look up at a parent. As everything, there are exceptions to the rule, and that comes in when we look at our security policies. When we set security, we set it for the territories, and there are some special territories: create by, assign to, and team. And we will look at that a little bit more when we look at the security profiles. Allow absolute territories in profiles allows us to assign specific rights to the profiles, whether or not they're going to show up in that drop-down menu. We'll see that later. Use the user's sibling territories. If we set that to yes, that will allow you to look at a sibling territory. If you have rights to UK, you can look at Ireland. Allow user direct rights in territories will allow you to gain access. As an example, if your home territory is Ireland, but you have been asked to help out with, say, cases in Canada, those are under completely different parents, but we can give you direct rights to a territory that is not under the same parent. So if we look at the user direct rights, we have an example of that. We're going to first look at a user. So if we look at Susan May, we can see that her home territory is Ireland. If we go and look at the direct rights and look at, does anyone have direct rights in Canada? We can see that she has been given rights to cases in Canada. She can also view companies. If you can't view the company, you can't see related records. Looking further on to the security profiles, taking the customer service team, we can see how the security is actually set up. As the example here, we have a customer service agent profile where they can view, edit, and insert cases, but they cannot delete. Same thing for communications and companies. They don't have access to leads. They don't have access to opportunities, and they can view, insert, and edit person records as well. Looking at the customer service manager profile, this is where the Susan May user belongs. She is a customer service manager. She can do all of the things that the customer service agent can do, but she can also delete cases, companies, and person records, and also view opportunities. So to set up this type of security, you would first create all of the profiles for the different roles you would have in your company, and then assign the permissions accordingly. Now, in this case, we don't want people to go and delete records, but maybe we need to be able to delete things that we create, because there's a human factor and we might make mistakes. So we could give created by, and here we see that if I created something, I can edit. So maybe a customer service agent would still be able to delete if they created the case, as an example. Another thing would be that maybe we set our security so that the only person that can edit a case or edit an opportunity would be the person that it's assigned to, so that no one else can go and make changes to opportunities and cases. So when we create users, we have all of these profiles, we have everything set up the way we want it, and we come to create a user. Now we're just going to look at a user that already exists. I'm going to stick with Susan May as the example. All of these fields where we have selected which team they're on, which security profile they should they be able to have mobile access, log on externally, so on and so forth. For each user that we create, we have to set all of this correctly. So that's where user templates comes in play. Rather than creating each user manually and filling out all of the fields every time, we can create a template. Creating a template is just as easy as creating a user. We have the option under users for user templates and we can create a new one. The only difference when we create a template is that the more user settings is limited to only certain fields here for forecasting and so on and so forth, because those are things that would still be the same. If we go back and we look at the actual user account, we can see that there are more fields for phone number and so on. So these are things that would be individual to the user, so we can't have that in a template, but it greatly limits the number of fields that we have to fill out manually when we create users. And this also makes sure that you don't give someone administration rights if they shouldn't have it, which is our next topic of security, and that is to keep admin rights as limited as possible. An info manager is a regular user with limited admin rights. And one thing to keep in mind there is that an info manager with user rights can change people's passwords. Our recommendation is to keep users with full system admin rights to just 1 or 2 people. The last bit of security that we have that we can apply is company teams. There is an option here to restrict sensitive info. We're going to click change so we can see these. So what we can do here, we can say must be on company team. So this user to be able to, even though they have rights to a company or a person or a case, are they going to see all the records in that territory? They have access through their territory permissions, but it can be further limited. So if we say that you must be on the company team and then set restrictions to restrict updates, this is a view permission. This is an edit or change permission. And what rights do you have on the company team? So that can be no access, view only, update and insert, or update, insert, and delete. And what does this actually do? How do we control this? Well, now we have to go to each individual record. So we're going to pick one of the companies here. I'm going to pick Cyberdyne Systems. And we have a tab for company team. So in this case, the user Susan May is a member of this team, and that will allow her to see this record if she is a part of the team and if this is in the correct territory so that she have rights to that. So security profile, got to give her access to the territory and to the record. But then in this, if we set this up with must be on company team, a user that is not on the team cannot access the records. So that is the final part on how we can restrict data access inside CRM. First of all, we talked a little bit about how we secure our passwords so that people that are not users, to keep them out of the system, keep our system secure. We have also talked about how do we secure access to the data? How do we control the access to the data inside CRM so that users are not looking at things that there shouldn't be, like salespeople stealing opportunities from each other within the organization where they might be paid by commission. In addition to what's been covered in this video, further security settings are possible by applying customizations to the system. For more information, please contact Zainab Salihi, who is the CRM practice lead here at BAASS. I would like to thank you for your time today and hope that you will all have a good rest of your day.